Now we're recording.
Okay.
Amazing.
Should we stop for the noise, or can you hear it?
Let's stop for the noise. Are these stones people? Do they represent anyone, or are they just...
This is really needing to pee, but really enjoying the conversation, so you don't leave the table. But thinking, fuck, as soon as we finish this conversation, I'm gonna go. And then you say, oh, I really need to pee, and the other person is like, oh my god, me too. and you go together. That happens a lot. This is wanting to speak and starting your sentence many times, but you're in a big group and you haven't succeeded at saying what you wanted to say, and you feel very self-aware, and you think everyone is noticing your silence, and you're but actually no one cares and no one gives a fuck.
Well, you can see it because it's slightly translucent, you can see through it, but also not quite.
Yeah. This is being vulnerable in public. It's hard, it's sharp.
Because it's the smallest.
But it's at the same time, there's a lot of strength in that. So well done, little guy.
Well done.
You're doing really good. And then this one is...
yeah, who's this one?
Oh my god. This one is... So it's peeing, not being able to talk, being vulnerable, and then... Ooh. Yeah, going to bed after an amazing conversation and you're like, wow, that was great. I'm actually thrilled to be alive.
So.
Hello.
You sent me a draft for a proposal for your project, and I'd like to talk about where you want to go with it, but there were some things that came out of the draft that we want to sort of re-record and talk through to then make this a more of a transparent invitation for everyone. And so I guess we should start by you talking about the premise and then going from there.
Wow, that's very difficult.
It is, isn't it?
Okay, so we all have in our course we don't all have. Oh my god, already. Some of us have to submit a final major project in August, which is going to be a 20-minute video piece. And I recently changed my idea to do it around my friends, because it's the people that I've been seeing during this past year. And I did not want to do a project through Zoom. I really wanted to... Also, I haven't really been on my screen this last weeks, and that has been really nice. And just the idea of working on a screen all the time. I mean, already for the edit, I will be doing that, but then choosing subjects such as my friends was a way to avoid that, and at the same time, it is people that you are people that I've been spending a lot of time recently. So I just decided that I'd love to think together on making a film. What is making a film for us, and record our conversations that we have in any case, with or without this project. Conversations between people in Tehran in the 60s in a kitchen, very intimate conversation around what their grandma thought about sex and what they are thinking about sex in that moment, or what film they watched they didn't like and why, and the garlic, if they like it or not,
The idea of working with people you would have relationships with to unpack new understandings of those relationships at the moment is something that's on a lot of people's minds. And you were talking about using writing as a form of collaboration to sort of engage with that as well.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting, especially as that's something that you talk about in lots of different areas of your life.
Yeah, my first initial idea was, since my flatmate works as a caseworker and translator in a trade union for cleaners, who most of them are Latino women, Latin American women, and so they all speak Spanish and some of them Portuguese, And then we thought, I mean, like I joined the women's committee, which I haven't been much to lately actually, but they organized like Zoom meetings and all of that. And I just thought, oh, you know, like what we could do is I could propose them if they would like to take on a project together and write something together. And I thought of the use of fiction because of Mao's project when he went to Brazil and like worked in that, was working and living in that steel town. And he wrote a soap opera together. They were, you know, with the people working in the steel town, like with the workers of the factory. And it was really interesting the use of the soap opera and fiction, you know, like in a way that's like creating a space to speak about your own life that is also giving you the freedom to speak more anonymously, I guess, but more in depth, in a way, or expose certain things. I don't know. I think like also I could just like as an experiment and see what comes out of that. The other day Leo was talking about like writing sci-fi, and I just thought like actually that's something we could do. Like we could write sci-fi together and like really explore like a fantasy through fiction that also speaks to us and to like our experience of life and of friendship and of human beings and of the pandemic and of the, you know, we've all been going through so much, and I feel like we've also really opened up in terms of like speaking of our emotions with one another. That there's a lot that I'd love to like record and remember about this time. So that's why I wanted to do an invitation to explain a bit clearly, like more clearly, like okay, this is what I'm going to be doing for the next months. If you'd like to jump on my boat and come with me, then great. I'm also really willing to explore like what it is to direct and to reimagine that as well. And as I was saying in that invitation I showed you, like there's something that I feel like that I'd love to explore more, like as well, like the roles of directors, how they have been like experienced until now, and which was like very male dominated and quite like exploitative or extractive. Or maybe I don't need to go there.
No, I think that's a good thread to pull on, actually.
Okay. So I thought that like to make this experience like a collective and not only like me recording people, like I want to avoid putting myself outside of this process as a mere observer. Mero observador?
Yeah.
Mere observer?
Male observer.
Mero. As a simple observer.
Oh, a mere observer.
Mere observer.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And also male observer.
Yeah.
But I'd like to as well, like, you know, so something that I'd like to be doing for the next weeks will be, or like the next month, it's gonna be propose small tasks for whoever wants to take them, and then from these small tasks see what kind of things come out of it, and maybe like some characters will come out of this small task. For example, Leo had a task. Should I explain the task? What do you think?
Sounds good.
So for example, Leo gave this idea, like gave me this idea of recording through your window or like somewhere, the street, so it's like something that you have no control over and like that's in movement. And then after that record a voiceover of yourself talking about what you're seeing as if you were directing the movement. So let's say, and I think this happens in a film, I don't remember what film she said it was, and there's this person recording the street and there's like two guys walking in the street, and then like another person comes and then like that person trips and then there's a bus coming, and then like the voiceover goes like, okay, now you go. The two guys, now you walk around, okay, like now you're gonna talk to each other, okay, go, and then the other person comes in, yes, and you're gonna trip, okay, really good, and then next bus come in, you know, and like kind of like play with your voice as well, after like, and how that can change like the image. I thought that was really cool. I really like that. And then I even thought about recording yourself thinking, because I've had that a lot, like this, like recording yourself thinking, and then when you watch the film, like the video, try to remember what you were thinking about and like record your voiceover on top of that, and try to trace back your process of thinking out loud, because sometimes, you know, like you look at that plan and you know that when you were looking at that plan you were thinking about universal credit and how you'd like to propose a new way of doing, you know, stuff like that. I'm just imagining, like, if someone last year or like the year before, you know, like imagine like someone in 2007 that did our masters, did a film about that, and we could see what kind of conversation they were having then, and what has changed since then, and what kind of things now are like a big no-no or like a question mark, and maybe for them, by that time it was like, you know, like the new, I don't know, like the word opacity was something that they were never using, and now like we're like all obsessed with it because we're all learning through the masters, and we're like, oh my god, the dog is so opacity.
But also writing is a way to solidify and document a certain time in the way that words sort of go out of fashion and become used, and the way that our relationship with words changes in these specific contexts. Like words like opacity now is something that's such a bellwether of so many things that we talk about. But you know, back in 2007 it was a different words, and what were those words, and how do you keep that, how do you keep writing as a process that's not just so grounded within the specific context you're engaging with it in. I guess I'm thinking about maybe adding something about where you're sitting with your research right now, what you're pulling from specifically in relation to writing.
This table right here, right now.
The table.
I've been living in this house for 4 years, and this table has always been here. And there's so many things, so many things have happened around this table, like so many. Like crying with many people, different people, laughing a lot, having big dinners, having really small intimate conversations, but a big fight as well happened here once. So all of that, I feel like right now this is what I'm pulling threads from. So this is the start of my research, like my intimate relationships.
So it's the collective experience.
Yeah, exactly. And here. Should we leave it here?
I think we should. I think that's a good way to end it.